The Venus Flytrap. Somewhere in a narrow strip of coastal wetland in the Carolinas, a fly lands on a pair of bright green, harmless-looking leaves, and it has less than a second left to live. That plant is the Venus flytrap, known to botanists as Dionea muscipula, and it grows wild nowhere else on the planet. Each trap is a hinged leaf split into two lobes, their edges armed with stiff, finger-like spines that lock together like the bars of a cage the instant the jaws slam shut. Buried inside sit tiny trigger hairs, and touching just one does absolutely nothing. A deliberate safeguard against wasting a killing strike on a raindrop or a piece of drifting debris. But brush two of them within roughly 20 seconds and an electrical charge rips across the leaf, the lobes snapping closed in about 1/10 of a second, faster than the insect's own nervous system can register the danger. Anything larger than a grain of rice is sealed inside a cage of interlocking teeth with no way out, while the smallest visitors can sometimes squeeze free, since the plant only wants a meal worth the energy it just spent. Once locked, the trap becomes a stomach, flooding with acidic digestive fluid over the next 5 to 12 days until nothing remains but an empty exoskeleton. And even then, each individual trap only gets 3 to 5 kills in its lifetime before it blackens and dies, replaced by a fresh, waiting jaw. Habitat loss has already pushed the wild population to vulnerable status, protected now under international trade law, even as millions of clones sit quietly on windowsills around the world. Look closely at a healthy trap, and the inside often blushes a deep red or pink against the green, a color some scientists suspect exists purely to mimic a flower and lure prey straight into the kill zone. The tropical pitcher plant. Deep in the rainforest of Borneo, Sumatra, and the Philippines hangs something that looks like a drinking cup and works like a bottomless pit. It belongs to the genus Nepenthes, and unlike the flytrap, it never needs to move at all. Nectar glands ring the rim, called the peristome, and the moment an insect steps onto that surface to feed, its footing vanishes entirely, the slick, waxy walls beneath offering nothing to grip. There is no climbing back out. The victim tumbles into a pool of fluid waiting at the bottom, and as it struggles to stay alive, that very struggle triggers the release of digestive enzymes closing in around it. The largest species on Earth, Nepenthes raja, grows high on the slopes of Mount Kinabalu and can fill its pitcher with 3.5 liters of fluid, enough that rats and even small birds have turned up drowned inside it, though ants remain its everyday prey. One relative, Nepenthes attenboroughi, was only discovered in the 21st century on a remote Philippine mountainside, its pitchers swelling to roughly the size of a football and already critically endangered before most people even learned it existed. Recent research has revealed something even stranger, that some Nepenthes species actually prefer salamanders over insects, since one amphibian delivers hundreds of times more nutrients than any beetle unlucky enough to wander in. Predators this strange turn up in almost every corner of the plant kingdom, and Garden's lab publishes a new one every few days, with a subscription being the simplest way to catch each new species the moment it goes up. The American pitcher plant. Across the bogs and pine savannas of eastern North America stands a very different kind of pitcher, one that lures its victims with color instead of shape alone. This is Sarracenia, its tubular leaves flaring open into a hooded lip streaked with bright veins and dabbed with nectar, an advertisement visible to a passing wasp from meters away. An insect that lands finds itself walking straight down a smooth, waxy chute lined with hairs that all point one direction, downward, turning the climb back up into a near impossibility even for a healthy flyer. Eventually it slides into a shallow pool at the base of the tube, part rainwater and part fluid. The plant secretes itself, and there it either drowns outright or simply exhausts itself, trying to escape a trap with no exit. Glands lining the lower half of the leaf then flood the chamber with proteases and phosphatases that slowly dissolve the body over the coming weeks, feeding a plant rooted in soil almost devoid of nutrients. Some leaves stretch nearly 45 centimeters tall, and a single well-fed pitcher can hold the drowned remains of hundreds of insects by the end of one summer, occasionally growing so heavy with prey that the entire leaf collapses under its own kill count. The pictures themselves shift from a deep, almost blood-red maroon to a pale, veined green, translucent patches near the hood, letting light spill through in a pattern that echoes the deadly false windows found elsewhere on this list. The Sundew. On every inhabited continent except Antarctica, something small and glistening waits in the sun, looking exactly like dew and behaving nothing like it. The sundews of the genus Drosera number roughly 150 species, ranging from rosettes barely a centimeter wide to sprawling, vine-like tropical giants. Every leaf bristles with slender tentacles, each tipped with a bead of sticky mucilage that catches the light and pulls in any thirsty insect scanning the bog for water. The instant prey brushes even one tentacle, it is glued in place for good, and the surrounding tentacles begin curling inward over the following minutes or hours, slowly burying the struggling victim under an ever-thickening coat of digestive glue. One Australian species, Drosera glanduligera, refuses to wait that long. It fires specialized snap tentacles that catapult a passing insect through open air directly onto the sticky glue tentacles nearby. The entire launch completed in about 75 milliseconds, among the fastest strikes ever clocked in the plant kingdom. Once trapped, the same glistening glands pour out enzymes that reduce the insect to a nutrient broth the leaf slowly drinks in, after which the tentacles relax, reset, and wait again. The Butterwort. On limestone cliffs, alpine meadows, and boggy ground across Europe and the Americas grows a plant that turns its entire leaf into a single, silent trap. The butterworts of the genus Pinguicula skip dedicated tentacles altogether, coating their broad, pale green leaves in a texture that feels almost greasy, produced by thousands of microscopic glands oozing sticky mucilage. That shimmering, wet surface is thought to mimic standing water, luring in exactly the small, thirsty insects it is designed to kill. A gnat that lands is stuck within seconds, and every twitch of its legs only smears more glue across its body, triggering a second set of glands buried deeper in the leaf to release digestive enzymes the moment they sense a struggling meal. Some species even curl the leaf edges inward around larger prey, folding themselves into a shallow cup that traps digestive fluid tight against the body for maximum absorption. Here's the strangest part. Once a specific patch of leaf has digested one insect, that exact patch can never be used again, meaning a well-fed butterwort slowly runs out of killing surface over its own lifetime. In direct sun, the whole rosette takes on a faint yellow-green shimmer, countless droplets catching the light like dew on a cold morning, a deceptively pretty surface hiding a slow, sticky death trap underneath. The Bladderwort. Floating just beneath the surface of ponds and slow-moving streams worldwide is the fastest killer in the entire plant kingdom, and it has no roots at all. The bladderworts of the genus Utricularia form the largest genus of carnivorous plants on Earth, with roughly 240 recognized species, and every one of them hunts with tiny hollow bladders scattered along a thread-like stem. Each bladder is cocked like a loaded trap, internal glands pumping water back out to create a vacuum that pulls its walls inward under enormous tension. The instant a water flea brushes the trigger hairs guarding the bladder's door, that door springs open and the vacuum sucks both water and prey inside in well under 1,000th of a second. An acceleration of roughly 600 times the force of gravity slamming into the victim before it can react at all. Reset only takes minutes, and the trap can fire again and again, a kill speed over 100 times faster than the Venus Flytrap and arguably the single fastest movement in the plant kingdom. With no roots and often no true leaves, this suction trap is not a bonus feature for the bladderwort. For many species living underwater, it is the only solid connection to the world they have. The Cobra Lily. High in the cold, mineral-rich streams of Northern California and Southern Oregon rises a plant shaped like a snake caught mid-strike, and its trap is built entirely out of lies. This is Darlingtonia californica, the Cobra Lily, the only widely recognized species in its genus. Its hollow tubular leaves curling into a bulging hood with a pair of forked, fang-like appendages dripping nectar just below the mouth. The kill mechanism has nothing to do with force. The hood is scattered with pale, translucent patches that let sunlight pour through, and any insect that wanders inside instinctively flies straight toward that glow, convinced it has found the exit. It is not. Exhausted from slamming into false window after false window, the insect eventually loses its footing on smooth, downward slanting hairs and tumbles into the fluid pooled at the base of the tube. Unlike almost every other pitcher plant on this list, the Cobra Lily produces no digestive enzymes of its own at all, relying entirely on resident bacteria to break its victims down, while actively pumping water up from its own roots instead of waiting passively for rain. In ideal conditions, its hollow leaves rise to nearly a meter tall, painted in pale green, streaked with maroon and purple-red veins running down the hood like blood vessels under translucent skin. A look so striking that collectors once stripped entire wild populations bare before legal protection stepped in. The Waterwheel Plant. Drifting rootless beneath the surface of nutrient-poor lakes on 4 continents is a killer almost nobody has ever heard of, and it moves 10 times faster than its own famous cousin. This is Aldrovanda vesiculosa, the Waterwheel Plant, sharing the exact snap trap design of the Venus Flytrap, only shrunk down and pushed to a speed that borders on unbelievable. Its thin, whorled stem spins outward like a tiny green wheel, ringed with dozens of leaves, each tipped with a miniature snap trap only 3 to 5 millimeters long, together forming a spinning paddle drifting invisibly just below the waterline. The moment a water flea brushes trigger hairs inside one of these traps, the 2 lobes clamp shut in as little as 10 milliseconds, a strike roughly 10 times faster than the terrestrial Venus flytrap manages on dry land. A single healthy plant can carry up to 200 of these traps simultaneously, and field studies have found as many as 80% of them holding live or freshly killed prey at any given moment, an underwater kill rate almost no predator on the planet can match. And yet this ancient hunter is now critically endangered worldwide. With barely 50 confirmed natural sites left across 4 continents, its wetland habitat draining away faster than it can adapt. Suspended just under the surface, its bright green whorls spin slowly along the stem in the pattern that gives the plant its name. A wheel of loaded traps turning silently through still water while the world above never even notices it is there.